In the bustling heart of downtown capital city, where towering glass buildings cast long shadows over narrow streets filled with honking rickshaws and chattering vendors, stood a modest corner shop that would soon become legendary. The weathered blue paint on its walls had seen countless monsoons, and its wooden shelves creaked under the weight of everyday necessities. But what made this ordinary shop extraordinary wasn't its inventory. It was the golden heart of the man who owned it. Rajesh Sharma, a 52-year-old shopkeeper with kind eyes and calloused hands, had inherited this small store from his father 30 years ago. Every morning at 6 a.m., he would unlock the metal shutters, arrange fresh vegetables in neat rows, and stack packets of rice and lentils with the precision of someone who understood that every rupee mattered. His wife Priya would join him by 7, her gentle smile greeting the early customers who stopped by for their daily chai and biscuits. The Sharmas lived a simple life above their shop. They had enough to pay their bills, send their daughter Kavya to college, and save a little each month. But Rajesh had noticed something that kept him awake at night: the growing number of hungry faces that passed by his shop every day. There was old Ramesh, the street sweeper whose bent back told stories of decades of hard labor, who often lingered outside the shop, his eyes following the fresh bread displayed in the window. There was young Mira, barely 16, who sold flowers at the nearby temple, but went days without a proper meal when the rains kept devotees away. And there were the children, oh, the children, whose bright eyes couldn't hide the hollowness in their bellies. The turning point came on a particularly cold January evening. Rajesh was closing his shop when he saw a small boy, maybe 8 years old, pressing his face against the glass door, staring at a packet of biscuits. The child's clothes were torn, his feet bare, and his ribs visible through his thin shirt. When their eyes met, the boy quickly looked away and began to walk off into the darkening street. "Beta, wait," Rajesh called out, his voice thick with emotion. He opened a packet of biscuits and handed it to the surprised child, along with a banana and a small bottle of milk. The boy's eyes widened with disbelief before he whispered "Dhanyawad, uncle," and disappeared into the crowd. That night, Rajesh couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the gratitude in that child's eyes, the way his small hands had trembled while accepting the food, and how many more children like him were sleeping hungry in the city's shadows. The next morning, he made a decision that would change everything. "Priya," he said to his wife as they prepared to open the shop, "what if we could make sure no one goes hungry around here?" His wife paused, studying his face with the understanding that comes from 3 decades of marriage. "What are you thinking, G?" "I want to start giving free food to anyone who needs it, not as charity that makes people feel small, but as family sharing with family." Priya was quiet for a moment, then smiled. "When do we start?" That very day, they placed a small handwritten sign outside their shop. "Hungry. Please come in. No questions asked." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Word spread through the informal networks of the city's struggling population like wildfire. By the end of the first week, they were feeding 20 people daily. By the end of the month, it was 50. But the Sharma's generosity came at a cost. Their savings began depleting rapidly. They had to reduce their own meals to simple dal and rice. They stopped buying new clothes and delayed repairs to their shop. Some nights, they went to bed hungry themselves. Yet Rajesh never wavered. When Priya showed him their dwindling bank balance, he simply said, "Money comes and goes, but the chance to touch someone's life, that's priceless." Their daughter Kavya initially worried about their financial situation. But when she saw the transformation happening around their shop, she understood. The area was changing. Crime had dropped significantly because people weren't stealing food out of desperation. Children were attending school more regularly because they weren't spending their days searching for their next meal. The entire neighborhood seemed to radiate hope. One evening, 3 months into their food distribution, a gleaming black Mercedes pulled up outside the shop. A well-dressed man in his 60s stepped out, looking somewhat out of place in the humble neighborhood. Rajesh recognized him immediately. Vikram, one of most successful businessmen, whose face often graced newspaper front pages. "Are you the shopkeeper who feeds people for free?" Malhotra asked, his voice carrying curiosity rather than judgment. Raj nodded nervously. "Yes, sir. Can I help you with something?" Malhotra smiled, a genuine, warm smile that transformed his typically serious demeanor. "You already have. You see, my company's security guard, Suresh, has been coming here for meals. He told me how you saved his family when he lost his job last month. He said you refused payment even when he offered to work for the food." Rajesh remembered Suresh, a dignified man who had broken down crying when Rajesh insisted he'd take extra food home for his sick wife and young son. "Sir, I just did what felt right," Rajesh replied humbly. Malhotra pulled out his phone and showed Rajesh a video that had been circulating on social media. Someone had secretly filmed Rajesh serving food to a group of children, his face glowing with joy as he ensured each child ate their fill. The video had garnered millions of views and thousands of comments from people around the world, praising his selfless act. Mr. Sharma said, his voice filled with respect, "I want to fund your operation. Not just fund it, I want to help you expand it. What you're doing here is changing lives, and the world needs more of this." Tears filled Rajesh's eyes. "Sir, I never did this for recognition or money." "I know," Malhotra interrupted gently. "That's exactly why I want to help. The purest acts of kindness come from those who expect nothing in return." Within weeks, Malhotra's foundation partnered with the Sharmas to create the Golden Heart Initiative. They established a proper kitchen behind the shop, hired local unemployed youth as staff, and created a system that could feed 500 people daily. But they kept the original spirit intact. No questions asked, no forms to fill, no conditions to meet. Just food, served with love. News channels picked up the story. The shop that once struggled to make ends meet became a beacon of hope, featured in international media. Donations poured in from around the world. Celebrities visited and volunteered. The narrow street where Rajesh's shop stood was renamed Siva Marg, Service Street. But the most glamorous moment came when Kavya, graduated and working with a tech company, surprised her parents with news that Hollywood actress wanted to visit during her trip to capital city. The global star spent an entire afternoon serving food alongside Rajesh and Priya, her designer clothes replaced with a simple cotton kurta. Her megawatt smile genuine as she listened to stories of transformation from the people they served. "You know what the most beautiful thing about your parents is?" Actress told Kavya as cameras rolled. "They didn't start this to become famous. Fame found them because true goodness always shines through." The images of the Bollywood star serving food in the humble shop went viral globally, bringing even more attention and resources to their cause. But Rajesh remained unchanged by the glamour. Every morning, he still woke up at 6 a.m., still greeted each person with the same warmth, still insisted on serving the food personally whenever possible. 1 year later, the Golden Heart Initiative had expanded to 12 locations across the city. Thousands of people were fed daily, dozens of unemployed youth had found work, and countless families had been lifted from the edge of desperation. At the first anniversary celebration, attended by dignitaries, celebrities, and media from around the world, Rajesh was asked to speak. Standing before the microphones, still wearing his simple white shirt and faded trousers, he looked out at the glittering crowd and said, "1 year ago, I saw a hungry child and shared my food. Today, you call me a hero. For heroes don't become heroes by trying to be heroes. They become heroes by seeing pain and responding with love." Every person in this room has the power to change lives. You don't need money or fame or a special title. You just need to care enough to act. The audience erupted in applause. But Rajesh's eyes were on the back of the crowd, where Ramesh the street sweeper stood clapping with tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. Next to him was Meera, the flower seller, now a confident young woman studying to become a teacher with the scholarship program that had grown out of the initiative. As the celebration continued around him, Rajesh stepped outside to the original shop. It's the same blue walls, the same creaking shelves, but now there was something different in the air. Hope. The street that had once echoed with the sounds of hunger and desperation now hummed with possibilities. A small girl tugged at his shirt. "Uncle, my mama says you're an angel who came to earth." Rajesh knelt down to her level, his eyes twinkling. "No, Beta. I'm just a shopkeeper who learned that the secret to happiness isn't in what you keep, but in what you give away." As the stars appeared above the capital city skyline, Raj knew that tomorrow would bring new, hungry faces, new opportunities to serve, and new chances to prove that one person's kindness could indeed change the world. The shopkeeper, who started with nothing but a generous heart, had discovered the most glamorous truth of all. That love, when shared freely, multiplies infinitely. Like and subscribe for more videos.